Good morning. Sorry about that. I opened a browser tab and it shared the audio. Oh well. How are you doing? Let me just give me 1 second. I just want to share the YouTube link. I'm trying to get better at I still got to automate a bunch of stuff, but I'll get there. It's been an interesting 1 sec. 1 second. 1 second. 1 second. Where are we? Let me just YouTube link. Here we go. I don't know. People watch the replays. So, part of the, I'm under no illusions really that this is, I know it seems a bit weird to be doing a, daily stream on one thing, especially something that appears stupid. But for me, it's actually just first of all, stream daily, get back on the horse, so to speak. But also, it represents this is kind of like a perfect storm for a lot of things that I've observed. Like I said yesterday, there's lots of different angles. It's funny. It's funny. But as someone who, has worked in tech, worked with tech, as a user experience person, again, I haven't worked, I've worked with tech companies, but not in tech companies. I've tried to be a founder, but over time, age, sex, location, that sort of stuff, it's just hasn't worked out. But I do have some exposure to sort of the startup scene. It was something that I spent sort of 20 years trying to get a look in, and I think there's value in someone who isn't who was on the periphery of some of these things but didn't actually sort of crack it. Okay, because I have had friends who had startups, or I was sort of, early stage, support, but then kind of backed away. And, there's been, opportunities, missed opportunities. I've kind of always existed at the periphery because I wouldn't compromise sort of my vision, wouldn't compromise sort of ethics, various other things. I've been faced with a lot of, dilemmas over the years, and I've made the choice that, as much as I fucking moan about it, as much as I whinge about it, I wanted to design my own life and design my own career, and that was because that was what I was promised, which was that if I just held out for the better offer, or held out and for the right investment, or held out, or again, just stayed put. And like I said yesterday, I'm going to clip that, by the way, but just stayed put and stayed patient, that my time would come. Like, that's part of the sort of the narrative, I think, around tech, that, it might not even be your first product that succeeds. It might be your 10th or 11th. Like, one of the things I think in startup land particularly, and this is something that normies don't get, journalists definitely don't get, because they're the people that fucking fail upwards all the time. But in startup tech, a lot of the things that you would perceive as failures, or as, that you would consider to be a criticism, are actually strengths. Okay. And this is something that I've observed with, but also people just have no fucking idea what goes into making a product, how difficult it is, how rare it is. Okay. Now, I think that that's something that we should maybe talk about, which is, I'm going to talk, there's so much stuff about how horrible Twitter is. And I started to rant about this last night, and I watched it back. And sometimes, those authentic moments, there's something real there when I'm starting to sort of rant, or starting to get upset, starting to get shitty, as sort of a veteran, I suppose, in this space, who was faced with the same dilemmas but made different choices. Okay, so the thing is, as much as I bitch and moan and say, I didn't quite get there, it's not that I actually don't regret any of my decisions, because I did see early on the kinds of choices that a founder would have to make in order to succeed, the kind of people that you would have to sort of, let own you, the kind of compromises that you would have to make in order to sort of, and, as a creative, this is something that I think maybe if you are maybe a writer or another creative, but creating a tech product is no different to being, say a musician, right? There's that point where in a musician's life, especially if they have a hit, right? Oh, cool. We got some fucking cool. Thanks, bot. Won't let my friends swear on the chat, but, that's fine. Fucking hell. Oh my God. Okay. We're having that again, are we? Block. All right, so I'm going to have to moderate that. Okay. Also, if you're someone who shows up regularly and wants to moderate my chats while I'm sort of chatting, that would be good. But it's what it is. If this gets too unbearable, I will make sure that I'll just turn off the chat and then deal with it later. So again, it's not exactly running amok anyway, but it's good. So I think that there is some value in, I think a lot of the block, and, this is just bad faith shit. It's the same people who think that Twitter is shit. They won't pay for Twitter. I've ranted about the people who sort of wreck technology yesterday. So you can go back and look at sort of the second half of that stream. It was a bit rambly at the beginning, but they always are. The meat's in the middle, right? Always. That's why I need to do clips, but that's okay. But it's just so selective and bad faith, but they're also just people who don't understand. And I talked about this yesterday about builders versus, destroyers or wreckers or users, okay? And this is, there is a mindset here with tech where, because I don't have influence, it means that I'm not able to, get influence per se. I know how to get it. It's just that I've been sort of shut off and I can identify the loopholes that have caused that. I'm extremely pragmatic. I know digital inside out. I just won't do certain things. That's like saying, there is this race to the bottom with business, tech, politics, all of these things, which is that if you are not a billionaire, then you don't have anything of value to say or offer. If you don't have a platform, you don't have anything of value to say. And that just because there's this idea that somehow only the people who, started a unicorn tech company or sold out or made the choices, let's say someone like Kanye talking about the music industry, but he talks about it as someone who, did sell his soul. He did make the choices, but there's a lot of people who didn't, who chose not to do that because they actually, that's something where it's a little bit backwards, right, in terms of capital, which is unfortunately when you worship, the money and that sort of, that Puritan work ethic where somehow, your success is evidence of your hard work and your smarts, not you having that for its own sake and the money being sort of, a side effect of it. It's just something that is partly luck, but also, what you're willing to do for money. Okay. Are you willing to do anal? In porn, you get more money for the fucking foul shit, but it's degrading. And there's people that you're not going to say that someone is a less successful porn star because they have boundaries. And this is one of those things where, again, I talked about yesterday slightly with wreckers and destroyers, which is that they test boundaries. They don't understand that some people have boundaries that are different to their boundaries. Some people value things that they don't value. And some people will pay for things that they think are shit and won't pay for. And there are people who, for better or worse, make choices that are considered, that are strategic. Now, my only beef, I don't know if I would want the kind of reach that goes with being on Twitter while these fucks are in charge. When it's actually owned by people who understand and love Twitter, then, I think that early reach was fun. It's still, obviously, you get your haters and everyone's going to want to tear you down if you get to a certain point. That's life under capitalism mostly, but also, this is also somewhat of a flip, which is that socialist analysis is good, but these people who wear socialism as a costume, like journalists, right, who Freddie DeBoer calls it morals of convenience, where, their worldview exists theoretically, but in their actions, they don't actually live. But it's also why it's unworkable, because they don't realize that the people like them are the problem with part of the reason why socialism doesn't work. It's why if you've ever tried to do a group assignment, I would never want to run a co-op with someone who doesn't, who let's say in a hypothetical situation that Twitter became a co-op, right? Suddenly, overnight. I would not want these people to be owning the platform because they tend to hijack it because they're wreckers. This happened in political parties, right? There's people who are just wreckers. They will use every process to get their own way, and they're not necessarily collaborative. They might say the right words. They might say the right theoretical, they might utter the right isms towards an audience that are uncritical. But people who truly understand the psychology and how that interacts and, like what the intent, again, there's the letter of the thing, and there's the intention and the sort of subtext behind a thing. And politics and the written word of Marx is no different, okay? The same thing. It's the spirit of things, okay? It's just the vibe. Now, there's people who are letter of the law. What can I get away with? Letter of the law. What's the literal definition of this? And then there's the intention behind it was that you would work together collaboratively with your fellow man, that you value hard work, that you value, that what you put in, you get out, and it's fair and equitable, not you get to be a fucking user and coast off everybody else's hard work. And this is part of the, I think, look at the hypocrisy that I see in, especially in like this whole verified Twitter thing. Like again, this morning went and did my rounds and watched all of the stuff. And I watched Anna Kasparian, right? Noted socialist, where sometimes this mask slips with her, where I don't think it's just she doesn't live this. She doesn't have a lived experience of what it means to truly be limited by, like she may in some areas, like as a woman or whatever, but sometimes these things that you really do see a lack of experience, a lack of consistency. Again, this morals of convenience concept, right? Where it's convenient. Your morals exist so long as they're convenient for you, not, they're not principles for you to that you hold deeply because of who you are and your predisposition. Sometimes these sort of Machiavellian, individualist, pro-capitalist things sort of slip out, and there's this slippage that happens. And this Twitter verification thing has been an example of that, especially with people who sort of identify as socialists. Because her argument was, I hate it. I don't value it. I use it. I'm forced to use it because, I'm a journalist. I'm forced to. I have no choice. But I'm not giving that man money. I don't want to pay for it. But I built a career on it. And you go, okay, well, what about all of the people who built this? What about the fact that you won't pay, what you won't put anything back in? All you do is moan, complain, leech, take. And then when things get hard, you fucking, all right. There is an argument there that maybe she's not going to give Elon Musk more money, but she's not giving Elon Musk more money. Seems to me there's a different angle here, which is that what if you guys have had it too good for too long? You've gotten away with it for too fucking long. You've been building building an audience of hundreds of thousands of people and businesses and made a lot of money off the back of Twitter's users and user base. People like me, you exploited. You are the landlords in this case, okay? And you won't pay for it. And also you sit there and you go, well, we don't want ads. We don't want ads. What? Okay, that's not if you truly understand socialism, you value what is valuable. If you don't find it valuable, then you don't need to use it. You're not forced to use it. Go do real journalism rather than sitting around camping on tweets. It's easy. Problem solved for you. It's not. You use it to harvest content. You benefit from it. You built an audience on it. You benefit from the corruption that was existing within Twitter HQ that was amplifying you and suppressing people like me. That blue check actually gives you value. So this is, again, like, do people think that there is just no economy in socialism? Like, this is where, again, it's like, well, it's a theoretical concept to you, but you really clearly didn't digest it very well. Apparently this person teaches at a college, occasionally political science, but it seems to me that she's got a gap in her understanding of what socialist analysis is, which is that it's a critique of capitalist structures. It's not a fucking alternative. It's an alternative system to a point, but there's still a market. You still got to pay for things. You still got to work for things. Things still take effort. Just because there is a profit there doesn't mean people still don't have to be paid. You still need to pay for a service, even if it is not for profit. And this is, like, again, in tech, this is my, a lot of my, like, oh, but we're a not-for-profit. I said, yeah, you're not for profit. You still have money. You cannot make profit and still need money to live and to do things and to exchange for goods and services. You still need currency to be exchanged. And, it's just that the way that it's prioritized and the amount of profits are not so concentrated. So for someone to turn around and say that they don't want to pay Elon Musk, well, it's like, okay, well, but you're going to moan about how he's had to lay off employees. Okay, I'll get to that. You're going to complain about how he, all of the other fucking things. Okay, you hate ads. And basically, you're on team advertiser. I'm seeing it. They're just all on team advertising. And you know what team advertising did? They harvested us for profit. Like, what the fuck do you want? What do you want? You want it for free. You don't want to do the work. You don't want to pay for it. But all you want to do is whinge on Twitter about how Twitter is shit. People like me, you're a destroyer. People like me are going, okay, well, how do we solve this problem? Because one thing that I do know very well is that people say they don't want ad blockers. They say they don't want ads. They say they won't, that they want to pay for good content. They say all of these things, but they don't. If you get a 1% conversion rate on people who pay for your shit, you are doing what, okay, so no. 1% is about, to be expected. 3 to 5% of your audience giving you money is smashing it. Okay, 10% is an outlier. Okay, I've got really high. I've got quite a high conversion. So like my overall views, not huge, but my conversion rate, like people who do find me do generally throw money in my direction, and that's really kind and I appreciate it very much. But that's because I'm the only one who is willing to fucking go pull your heads in and call things out the way they are, because I know what the effort is with these things to build something like Twitter. Okay, and I'll talk about the alternatives in a minute, because I tried to sign up for Tribal last night. Okay. Oh my god, this is, again, I love seeing this, because my whole career has been, well, you think you can do better, off you go, and then they try and go to a shittier person or a shitty agency, or they won't pay for it, and then I go, well, off you go then, and then I sit and I just enjoy watching the result when people think that they know better, and they've been using Twitter to build a whole fucking career, and all of a sudden they're moaning that they have to put something back in, and it's like, but it's like, okay, you could at least be consistent in the argument. So this verified Twitter thing, okay, paid for verification. Here's why. I think it's a good idea. I think, first of all, it hasn't been confirmed. So the idea, on its face, the idea that he's just letting this run as misinformation, and all the people that are barking about misinformation and disinformation are just running off of a Verge article. Okay, that's like making a rumor claimed by someone who claims to know. Given all of the fucking stuff and stunts that are going on at the moment, the fact that they're just running with it is hilarious. And that's why I'm just leaning into it. Honestly, I don't think it will work. I don't think that Musk is that stupid. I don't think that necessarily it's a very clever idea from a product point of view. But I would pay. And here's why. First of all, that's funny. It's ridiculous. It is funny, the fact that literally the people who built their careers off of this, they have built audiences of hundreds of thousands of dollars Okay, sorry, worth hundreds of thousands of dollars, but audiences with, 10, 100,000. I know how hard it is to build that organically. I know what the value of that is because I ran PPC campaigns. I know that every person that you get is worth about fucking $20. If you, easily, if you talk about the lifetime value of a customer, right, in marketing terms, okay, something, people will pay, $3, $5 per lead for anything. So this just goes, again, all these people who claim to understand business, they claim to understand tech, they claim to understand all these things. They're so experts. They got millions of followers for no fucking reason. It's all merit. They're also smart and they're also socialists. They're clever people who don't value people's labor or time or creativity. They're just as bad as the fucking maggers who wreck. And that's why they hate them so much, because mirrors, etc. So, but they've built audiences that are massive. When you run a PPC campaign, right, you expect, like I said, 3 to 5%. What you will do is you will pay for, impressions, right? You'll pay for, say, let's say you pay for your ad to show 100 times. You can expect maybe 3 of those, or 3 to 5, 10 if you're really clever or good or got something quite compelling, but on average, 2 to 3% is cracking it. Now with bots, obviously, that is more like 0.1% of genuine users, okay? But if you get them to click on your website and they then buy, there's a lifetime value associated with that customer. In certain areas, okay, some of that lifetime value can be thousands and thousands and thousands of dollars. In the case of a Twitter check mark, okay, that you've been gifted, that you have used for free, that you've wrecked, that I talked about yesterday. Blue checks wrecked Twitter. These journalists, these corporate journalists, destroyed Twitter. And then they think, their relationship with advertisers is clear and obvious. They're selling a narrative that their sponsored content, their branded content matters more than it's actually, that's the root of the problem, which is advertising. Okay. Whether it's the US government, the CIA, or fucking Coca-Cola, it doesn't matter. You're still selling something. But they have attracted high value leads. They have attracted high value, lifetime customers, people who run, someone like Anna, like these guys who run fucking marketing campaigns. They have a portion of those people that come from Twitter that then go on to become monthly subscribers, that buy all their shit, that act as billboards for them, share their shit. You get value from it, right? It is a business. Anybody in real business, not journalism, but again, journalists know everything, because if you write about a thing, you know about it, right? No, in real business, in order to promote your business, you need to pay. For every single lead that you get, you need to execute an advertising campaign. You need to keep them ticking along. You need to A/B test it. You need to keep going, keep doing it, keep doing it, keep doing it. You get handed that for nothing, and then you turn around and go, well, I'm not paying. It's mine. It's not yours. Who built it? It wasn't Elon Musk. Elon Musk didn't build anything. It's all of the workers that you claim to defend that built it. Now, is he firing? Now, here's why. Now, I'll move on to the firings. First of all, it's not confirmed, okay? He said it was being revamped, but Twitter have been revamping verified for a couple of years. They've been saying that they're revamping verified for years. They said that they were going to do it, and they haven't responded to any requests. They actually closed it down for several years. And that's why I got caught up in that net. I was going to get verified back in 2012. At the time, I was like, what's the point in that? Because it was 2012. People didn't run the platform. These people were fucking, it seemed naff to get a blue check. And then, I had my op-eds out and all these things were live, and I, had a bit of a profile, and, I was copying it a bit, and, various other things. And so back in sort of, around, I can't remember what it was. Again, sometimes my timing's off, because I whether it was 2007, 2008, I realized that I actually signed up to Twitter in late 2007, I think. because I signed up when SXSW first sort of ran with it, and then that was, so it must have been late 2000. I can't tell you anyway. But the same thing, like I know that I qualified for a check mark at one point, and I looked into it, and I just went, oh, fuck it. I don't like admin. So anything that involves an application, I was just like, you do the maths and you go, oh, fuck it, it's not worth it. It wasn't worth it at the time. But then they changed the rules and made it this fucking, it got more and more elite, like cliquey as years went on post-Trump. But, then they sort of made the requirements higher. Like, you had to be published in, mainstream publications. It wasn't just being sort of, notable or whatever. It was, or having been on TV a few times, you actually had to be someone who is, somewhat basically employed by a mainstream media publication or, getting it's the tick of approval from fucking VCs and corporate media. That's basically what the blue check became. So that those requirements shifted, and then the bar kept moving. And I've always, I just sort of stopped writing op-eds because I was running my business and all that sort of stuff. So I never really pursued it, but I was always active. Then I lay dormant, and then they closed verification for, various other reasons. And then now we're here. So it's not that never. This is the thing that I don't think people understand, is that I have always made a calculation and decided whether or not it was worth it for me, and whether or not it sort of, my first filter is my values. My next value is whether it's got admin, too much admin, and whether it's like worth it. Like, I think, again, that's why I'm probably, as much as I talk about socialism and, from a different angle, right? I am still very much in pro-business, but I am a socialist business person in the sense that I own my own labor. I charge what I charge. I set boundaries. I don't let myself be exploited as and taken advantage of. Sometimes I've done good faith things and been ripped off. That's part of being in business, but I do make calculations like a business person. That's just sort of how I'm wired, but in a relational fashion, not in a exploit. I try to run my life as if I lived under a socialist system, right? And it's bad, but the thing is, it's also, it also gives me some insight into why some, co-ops and things like that you have to be quite selective about how you run these things and who you have involved, because a lot of people will fall apart. They're so ingrained and embedded within a capitalist hierarchical structure that benefits them. They have no idea. They fall apart once they don't have that. And they tend to leech. They take advantage. They're actually like exploitative. And so you get someone like that in your co-op or in your business, and they will destroy you. Like I had a business partner that couldn't handle anything that wasn't sort of, hierarchical in structure. But, and employees, I did, 4-day work weeks and treated well and all those sorts of things that you do. But some people they need that. You need a self-starter to be in a co-op. You need to be a self-starter. And this is one thing that I'm noticing with, a lot of the sort of mask slippage with a lot of these journalists, the people who've never run a business. They don't actually know very much about what they're talking about. They don't have any history. They don't even understand that every 2 years, someone declares Twitter dead based on various movements, right? And, but it keeps ticking along because the chaos of Twitter is its value. The value of Twitter is in people like me, not in these blue check fuckers who just come in and go, well, I should be able to build this massive platform for free and then start dictating everything. And this is I think understanding kind of what happened with early Twitter, because when you've got, again, let's talk, it links from something like a co-op where, you've got tech founders, right? Jack Dorsey wasn't the only tech founder at Twitter. There was, there's politics involved and worldviews involved. Like this happened with Reddit as well, where, one founder wants to go in one direction and another has a different vision for the company. Like Jack Dorsey has always been quite famous for saying that it was the free speech wing of the free speech party, whereas, others were more sort of business inclined and wanting to make it a profit. Some were wanting to just flip it and move on to other things. Some were sort of product boffins and, and that conflict happens and VCs exploit that. Okay, so in early Twitter, I'm not going to, there's plenty of books and articles on this stuff, but so I'm just summarizing, and it's also just more of a sort of side point. But it is somewhat related to this idea that if you value something, you understand that you get what you put in. Twitter is something that you get back what you put in. Now, the flip that happened for me, in my perspective, was that I was putting a lot in, and I had given a lot, and I had put up with a lot. But I wasn't, again, that relational thing had disappeared. It became transactional, okay, which was that it stopped being enjoyable. But it wasn't even about being enjoyable. It was just like, well, I was promised that X, Y, Z, okay. I was happy on the platform. I love the platform. I said yesterday, and I keep doubling down on this. I love Twitter as a product. It's marvelous. If you try to look at the alternatives and look how difficult it is to actually design an alternative experience that mirrors Twitter, okay, then I just love watching this fucking people who go, I'm going to build my own theme park, and then they fuck it up. It's fantastic. Oh, okay. Producer has a headache. But this is the difference, right? Where you get what you put. Like, this is the thing about these tech products, is that, first of all, this is another thing on the sort of the MAGA side of things, right? These fucking idiots. Okay, and I use MAGA, these are just broad churches of fuckwits. Okay, it's just easier and economical. Which is that they go, big tech's got too much power. It's like, well, no, it's not tech. It's the business model that, again, they'll never attack the business model because they exploit that, right? They want to be able to be. It's the advertisers that control and moderate the content on these platforms, okay? It's the political forces, and it's also, bad actors. It's not necessarily the tech platforms themselves. The tech platforms themselves operate as designed, okay? This is the problem with conspiratorial thinking and tech, and, you can talk about how much they may have too much power, but it's not so much that. It actually is the fact that major media conglomerates, global corporations, moved in. The only viable option was ads, okay? And they wanted something in return for that, which was their data. And now you watch it every time. Every time there's a campaign or something or content that, advertisers don't like, they will threaten to withdraw their money. Kiwi Farms, look at the fucking Kiwi Farms campaign. You get people on board to withdraw, the big advertisers to withdraw, and you put pressure on them. It's not the tech companies that have the power. It's the fucking people who pay their bills. So for someone like Anna Kasparian, and I'm just using her as an example, there's others as well, to turn around and say, well, I don't value it, I won't pay for it, make a lot of money on it, but I'll make money on it and get massive amounts of reach preaching some synthetic version of socialism where I don't actually have to think it through and live my values in any really meaningful way, which is that if you use something, you should pay for it. Saying that it's Elon Musk profiting from it is just a big cope, because he's not profiting from it. He's getting at a loss, and I'll talk about that in a minute. But to turn around and then go, well, big tech have too much power. It's like, no, the advertisers have too much power over tech. You got it backwards. But the thing is, because you are in bed with these fucking advertisers and you take their money, your branded content and your sort of questionable, your conflict of interest, your constant conflict of interest, that for some reason you still think you're a journalist, even though that's like rule number 3 of every fucking journalism ethics course I've ever fucking sat through, which is that, financial disclosure and conflict of interest is like paramount. But, of course not. It's never you. It's always everyone else. It's always the billionaires. It's not your person. I said this yesterday. No one reflects on their personal contribution to a problem. I do. I was a UX designer. I swallowed this stuff. I know exactly where it went wrong. I made choices. I defended certain things that I maybe should have pushed back harder on. I tried my best. But at least I reflect on my role in things. These people turn around and go, well, I fucked a platform. I completely fucked it, made money on it, built my audience on it, built an audience that most marketers would pay millions of dollars for, but, you know, $20 a month, get fucked. No, fuck that shit. I'm not giving that fucking asshole money. Well, how about the people that you claim to defend that work at Twitter then? Why don't you make them fucking cost neutral? Why don't you make them viable? Why don't you make Twitter into a viable fucking business? No, you're a critic. That's what you do. You're a destroyer. Okay? It's like, okay, well, think it through. Steps 1, not step 1 and 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. What do you want? You want to pay for it? You don't want to pay for it. You want the audience? You don't want to pay for the audience. You hate advertisers, and then you complain about censorship, and you complain about fucking that. Well, no, you can't have. What are you doing? Come on, then. Smart ass, person who knows everything, is an expert in tech and everything, offering to work for Elon Musk. Yeah, you're so smart. You know how to fix this. You don't even know the fucking problem. It's like, are you serious? Of course, people who value it will pay for it. Users who pay for it, who value it, will pay for it. Now, you want to make it like you don't want to make it unethical and predatory in the way that it is charged. I find this rumoured verification charge quite hilarious, but I can also see it from the point of view where it's unique to Twitter because there's bloat. I'll tell you now, I know people at Google, I know people at Facebook, I know people at eBay, I know people at everywhere, LinkedIn, Microsoft, I know people at Apple. Nowhere have I met anybody who works at or knows someone who works at Twitter. Okay? I don't know what they do. Now, that said, this is my frustration as well, which is that to say that means that I'm saying that that it's no work to build a product. That's not what I'm saying. I'm saying it does take quite a lot of people that you don't realize. You're like, oh, what do they do? You just need a coder and a server guy. It's like you have never fucking set up anything in your life, let alone a design thing. My biggest concern with Elon Musk is that he values engineering. It is okay to have conflicted feelings about things. It's okay to go, okay, this, but this, but this. Now, the Twitter layoffs. I'll go stay with the paid verified thing first. You earn money on it. People like me will pay for it. I can't even use a PPC campaign because your advertisers decided that I should be shut off. But they let you do everything you want. I can't apply for a professional account. I contacted Twitter and I said, why can't I advertise? I don't know what's happening. I have an agency account. I have fucking run ads for 10 years. No problem. Why is my dashboard not working? Oh, because your Twitter account, is in breach of what? I went, what? Okay, I went and deleted 40,000 tweets. And then I said, what about now? And no reply. That's as a fucking person who ran an agency that ran ads and did these things. That's how, I can't do that. You can. Pay for it. I'm willing to pay for it because the reach is valuable to me. The interaction is valuable to me. The experience is valuable to me. And I value the product. I value the effort that goes into the product. It's got fuck all to do with Elon Musk. Elon Musk is going to try and make it pay for itself. That's what he does. He's going to try and transform the business. That's a complex project. Digital transformation projects. Fucking 70 to 80% of them fail. Good luck. But you try. Every time you try. That's the difference between someone like Elon Musk and someone like me, or the real mindset of somebody who's capable of, starting and building a viable tech company, and someone like that who does nothing but fucking poke holes in things, talk you down, be a critic, won't pay for it. They're the client from hell. These journalists are the client from hell. They won't pay. They make all of the demands. They have no boundaries. They will call you 10 times a day with stupid shit, no matter what you fucking, And then they'll keep threatening to go elsewhere, but they never do because they know that they can't get better anywhere else. Those are bad clients and those are bad users. And they should, if they won't pay, tell them to fuck off. That's what I will do. Go to Tribal. Go to Parler. Go on. Go to an alternative. No one's stopping you. You're not forced to use it. It is a service that is of value to you, that you feel compelled to use because it is valuable. And it will continue to be valuable because the first thing, when there's a massive event, the first thing everyone does is head to Twitter, whether you like it or not. And that's not going to change. Your little clique is shrinking and shrinking and shrinking and shrinking because everyone is starting to see you for the frauds that you are, and that you have done nothing but steal, co-opt, exploit people like me and other users who just used this stuff in good faith. You came in and you crashed our platforms, and now you won't even pay $20 a month to keep that check mark that makes you feel fucking special, that you didn't even earn. People like me actually put money in. We actually pay for campaigns. We pay for leads. We pay for we actually create excellent content. Okay? I don't create excellent content, but I'm just saying, like in ads. We create ads. We're constantly trying to tweak and work and study and, improve ourselves and adapt to an industry. You just sit there and complain that you can't just buy a fucking billboard for free. Because, why can't I just go on the TV? Because I'm fucking entitled to it. I'm a journalist. It's my right. Fuck off you are. You're not a journalist because you're on the fucking take. Journalists aren't on the take. So anyway, paying for verification has value from a pure business sense. And this was one of the things that they should have implemented early on. It was in my white paper, which was, I would have designed it slightly differently. Also, I don't think it's going to happen that way. I think you're still going to have to go through the verification process. I think that he's just having a laugh and letting him see how far this bullshit goes. Honestly, they've been revamping the thing where he's going to lay everyone off. It's like they were going to lay him off anyway, because they're a waste of fucking space, a lot of them. And, again, you can have conflicting thoughts about things, which is, I don't like the fact that people are losing their jobs. But I also understand that when you treat people well, a certain number of people will take the piss and they can't handle it and they will leech. Now, one of the things, again, that people leave out with this, I'm uncomfortable with this, ultimatums, pressure side of things, where it's like, have this done by, done and live by November 7th or you're fired. But he's also looking at who's committed code, okay, who's got the most commits, who's actually doing work, who shows up, who gives a shit, okay? And it's the same thing with the verification thing. I get this from that when you inherit a certain business that has sort of where there's a bunch of hangers-on. Okay, if you read Bullshit Jobs, you'll understand what I'm talking about, by David Graeber. This idea that, there's this bloat of people who are just hangers-on and they're there for the fucking, they don't do, again, I meet a lot of people. I haven't met a single person at Twitter in my entire fucking career, which I find odd because I know people everywhere. But it's not even just, sorry, I'm just trying to be a bit serious at the moment, Matt. So, the thing about when you inherit a company like this, especially when you see sort of, this is startup land. This is one of those things that's sort of unique to tech startups as well, where, the gravy train, this happened with the first bubble as well, which is that children got lots and lots of money, and they sort of built these campuses where they were luxurious and, games and stuff. And it's like, well, no, because you're still expected to do some work. That stuff, those perks exist because, they're kind of I think they're a veneer. I think they're bullshit. I think they're toxic. A lot of the time they cover up, being underpaid, a toxic work environment, an expectation that you're going to work around the clock. The reason they have sleep pods is because, during a sprint, and again, sprints are just sort of a part. You can't really avoid a sprint. Sprints are just part of sort of agile development and product development. Even the best project manager will struggle to not need sprints from time to time. Like, that's just the nature of the job. Okay, sometimes there's unintended things and bug fixes and, stakeholders making demands. That's just kind of the nature of the beast. So a good one will let you sort of have the occasional sort of burst, but some of the, a bad company will have, poorly organized, last minute requests and, not well managed backlogs and things like that, and not manage their sprints well. So everyone is constantly sort of working. So a sprint is when, you sort of pull an all-nighter as a team and get it all done. Okay, that's like the last minute of a sprint is always a thing, because there's usually last minute bugs as well and stuff like that, like goes through sort of testing and user acceptance testing, all that sort of stuff. And there's, things that come up and you're committed to launch date. That's part of the thrill as well. Part of the thrill of tech is the chaos. The thrill of Twitter is the chaos. And people who don't like chaos don't thrive well, okay? And this is the problem with corporate numpties taking over tech, is that, they then normalize the sprint. Like, people who love what they do will probably work late to get it done. But you can't just expect that they're going to, work around the clock. A lot of these sleep pods and these perks exist because of that unwritten expectation that you're also going to not leave the campus, and you're going to sort of, sleep, eat, fucking shit for 24 hours a day, or, at the office, right? That's one of those sort of things. Part of the reason why they want you at the office and to create that experience is so that they actually extract a bit more labor out of you. Okay, that's kind of the cynical way to look at it. It's like I talked about this, I think, they started with this as a good intention, which was people who, like me, who wanted to do things differently. They wanted to live, they wanted to find that sort of perfect blend between, they didn't want to be corporate. They wanted to disrupt. They wanted to do things differently. And that's where, Gen X, we tried this. We tried it. And it got taken over. And that's why these Web3 guys are funny, because it's like they're all in their 20s. It's like, we've seen this before. I'm hopeful it might happen. But, these forces are very, very, very sophisticated, very adaptive. People sitting there celebrating, that Brazil had a sort of, left-leaning election, and that Joe Biden supported the left-wing option in Brazil. And it's like, yeah, but they do it because these powerful forces are adaptive, very adaptive, to the point where they try to keep the status quo. And because there is this very heavy revolutionary energy, and there's very strong and very precarious risk of either revolution or fascism, they know where their bread's buttered. They can't push everyone to brinkdom all of the time, because people will collapse. This return to fucking, what they'll do is they'll pander to the socialists, because they kind of, again, create this sort of numbing and this salve, so that people, you don't have a global fucking revolution. Okay, their goal is to always squash revolution or unrest. That's the goal. But tech tried. The tech founders tried. Okay, now tech founders had their different ideas on what that looked like. Okay, so the fucking idiots on the right are like, oh yeah, how dare they have lattes and like sunlight on the roof. And it's like, this is where, again, their mask slips ideologically, where they pretend to care about the workers, or they pretend to care about, but you watch them cheering on the sacking of like engineers, watch them cheer on, the humiliation of Twitter employees, which I don't advocate. Watch them cheering on Elon Musk as he antagonizes unions. Watch them cheer, sit around and like libs of TikTok posting Twitter, ordinary Twitter employee having a good day because the office is nice. It's like, well, no, they just don't like the fact that people aren't working for slave wages, and it. They think that only they get nice things because fuck the workers. Okay, that's the underlying message here. Fuck the workers. But even the fucking left-wing Young Turks and all the Washington Post, New York Times, all those people that are left-wing, right? Those people are still ultimately fuck the workers too, but in a different way, which is that they won't pay for a product that they have made money from, that they have built careers from, that most people outside of their circle have to pay for. Okay? People forget. Oh, people will think that you're paying for fucking clout. Yeah. What about your paid followers? What about your ads that you run? What about all those things? Those are paid. That's all. That's how the wheels grease. At least a paid verification program is honest. At least it gives you a shot. Right now, everything's shut off for me. It has been for 3 years because I got mass reported for talking about the bot situation and seeing this funnel for what it is, which is that it's mostly synthetic. And, you know, everyone's, again, oh, no, we can't have people pay for a verified account because people might think that they haven't earned it. Oh, no. We can't have people pay for a verified account because I don't want to pay for anything. We can't have people pay for a Twitter experience because, oh, my God, they might have to get rid of the advertisers that pay me. Or they might get rid of the bots and troll farms that prop my fucking account up. It's honest. You pay, you get it. And I mean, the difference between my white paper like solution, I think this is a sloppy solution, but what I think it is actually a bit of a loyalty test. I think it's just funny. Mostly because I don't think, again, all he said is that it's under review and it's rumor at this point. I honestly think that you're still going to have to might go through the verification process. It might relax, okay? You got, again, don't just take him on one tweet. You take him on the things he's actually said across the board, okay? Sorry to hear about your headache. Matt, yeah, that's fine. It's all good. You can watch it back later or whatever. That's what replays are for. So, but you take him on the sum of what he has said. The overall actions, which is that, you know, I'm not sure. He's good at trimming the fat when it comes to a business that's full of tech bros. Now, remember that you also do have, with these tech companies, watch Silicon Valley, the show. It is absolutely like that. There are hangers-on. There are people like Ehrlich, right? Think about Ehrlich in Silicon Valley, where, you know, he sort of doesn't really build anything. He sort of, you know, but he sort of gloms on. Right, and he's there for payday, okay, and he sort of gets by. Or you've got your Jin Yang, you've got your, you know, all of these archetypes in Silicon Valley actually they come from a place. Everyone who works in tech knows everyone in that. It is just spot on, okay. So if you want to watch that for, you know, Silicon Valley on HBO, their show is fucking amazing because it's a fucking documentary. But there's hangers on, okay, and there's a bunch of stuff. So we don't know. Again, Twitter's a black box, and it has been for some time. If I don't have a contact there, it's definitely a black box because I tend to be able to get, if I can't get to someone, I can usually get to someone who can get to someone, okay? I'm that kind of person, and I've never been able to reach a single person at Twitter, despite my best efforts. If you can, then you're more privileged than me, okay? But, so you're doing better than me. You're not persecuted because I'm pretty well connected. So I just don't, again, just because I'm well connected doesn't mean I use those connections in the way that you think I might use those connections because I make choices. My principles are first. I just happen to have friends in places and I don't use those connections. Okay, that's the difference between, say, me and all these other people, is that I try not to manipulate my networks. Okay. I'll make an introduction if I feel that it might be helpful, but, you know, nobody's ever said thank you to it, you know. So anyway, so it's fine. I don't expect that. But, you know, I don't use those things. So because, again, it's about my morality and how I feel about me, not I run my own race. So and more people could do that. Not tear others down, but focus on you. Be the change. You focus, you find the solution. I've spent like 3 months researching for my outreach program, okay? It's one thing to say on stream, we need better mental health for streamers. We need all this. Who's okay, say it. Yeah, okay, cool. Are you going to do it? Are you going to fund it? What's the next step? I'm the person who sees that and goes, yeah, we should. Okay, I'll try and design that. All right, I'll try to pitch it. What can I do? What can I do next? How do you fix it? It's a great idea. Let's do it. No. But then you get the destroyers who turn around and go, well, what do you fucking know? Well, I know enough to know. I've come up against enough brick walls to know you're one of them. And so this is, you know, again, that's just a tech thing. And I know the problem because I know what I have come up against over the years, which is influencers and people who built their fucking living off of shit that they've never paid a cent for while everyone else has to do the work. Everyone does the work. And it's like the least you could do is pay for Twitter if you get anything out of it. professionally, because most people would pay for it. Most people, do you know what it costs to advertise on LinkedIn? It's a marketing campaign. Fucking, even the lowest one is $10 a click, right? If these people had to pay for the clicks and the conversions that they got, things they'd appreciate it a lot more quickly. They'd appreciate this stuff. Stumbled over my word. So verification, that it's not about the verification. It's about the fact that put your money where your mouth is. You value it. You want it. You've been leeching off it for years. Pay for it. And if that means that media outlets, the thing is, journalists won't have to pay for it. Do you know who will pay for it? The fucking media. The Guardian will have to buy. They already do buy fucking verified accounts. Again, it's just out loud and open to everyone. Guardian will have to pay premium subscriptions to Twitter for them using the service of Twitter for their journalists to promote their shit and to harvest people for profit. You hadn't thought about that, had you? Because no, people don't think. They haven't thought about the fact that, individual journalists won't, if you work for a corporate news outlet, won't have to pay. It would be the Young Turks who have to pay Anna Kasparian's thing, the business cost, a write-off, a tax write-off that they still benefit from and critique Elon Musk for having, by the way. Okay? They structure their businesses in this same way. You don't see them volunteering to buy things or pay for things that they value. No, they use interns. They use free labor. They use Fiverr. They don't let, they by and large, use friends and family and favors. They beg you for money. At least there's an honest transaction with a verified checkmark account that doesn't exist at the moment, that is open to more people. The ABC will pay for those check marks because the ABC is the one that fucking gets the clicks, and the journalist just benefits from that fucking check mark. They didn't earn it, and they don't even pay for it. Okay, the people, the record label will pay for those subscriptions as part of their fucking. It's just Twitter taking a cut of the machine that they build and that everyone exploits. Think about it that way. It is a business. If you think about it as a fucking business expense that everyone else has to pay, but you don't have, you just feel entitled to, then it becomes clearer. You just don't want people like me to have access, and you don't want to have to actually earn the thing. You didn't earn it. It was given to you for being a fucking shell of a human being. Okay? Because you just regurgitate nonsense and harvest people. I talked about this yesterday. But, think about that. The verification, paid verification, has value if you value Twitter and you extract that. Again, I've repeated myself. But no one's saying that. Everyone's just like, no, I don't want to pay for it. You won't be. First of all, I imagine, again, like I said, I imagine that it won't just be straightforward like that. Musk has said that he wants it to be fairer and actually mean something. He's also said, there's lots of different things that he has said. I have a feeling that this is just a rumor and it's funny as shit. Okay, and I think that all of it, again, that's hilarious. But I have a feeling that he's just doing a slight loyalty test. Now, if this continues, see, the thing is that there's different stages when you sort of buy a business. Okay, so he's obviously at that stage. Whether he's Elon Musk or not, it doesn't matter. This is just what you do when you inherit a business, is you look, especially a business that's in the state and needs the transformation. And this is going to be a several years project. Okay, people just think that, that's another thing I find hilarious, is people just have no concept of what's actually involved in transforming a company like Twitter without severe unintended consequences. But there is something about Elon's energy with this, but when you first acquire a company like this, you have to audit the situation, which is what he's been doing. He's got, he's doing little sort of loyalty tests. He's actually, if you look at who he's surrounding himself with, he's actually surrounding himself with some quite respectable people that I would surround myself with in this situation as well. He's, you know, a lot of it's smoke and mirrors and fun and games, and he's fucking with people. I can see it. But, you know, there's also that concern that, again, the optics aren't good. But I also understand that he's inheriting a company that has a lot of bloat, that probably has large teams of engineers that never commit code. Part of the reason why, you know, when you commit code, that means when you actually are coding and you upload it and you can see they're actually doing work, okay? Engineers that are actually committing code, doing work, achieving things. If you inherit a company, especially at a loss, okay, and I'll talk about that in a sec, that you're going to want to see, you don't want these people that are just there to you know, you don't want your hangers on, okay? You need to trim the fat, and I would rather have people that were actually doing the work. And that's why journalists object to it so much, because they do fuck all. I could be a journalist if I wanted to be. It's fucking easy shit, right? Just fucking be a scribe for whatever. Just call up the fucking whatever and just write the laziest things. I could just sit here and go, I could repeat the same talking points over and over again, but I don't. I've spent the last 4 days non-stop diving in and going, okay, how can I show a different angle on this? What can I do? What's my unique sort of perspective on it? And that is that they're all fucking lazy assholes, but that they don't deserve their Twitter thing. And that, anyway, but I'm just trying to get you to think about it. I don't know why. I don't think that paying for a verified check is really, again, the optics aren't good. I think there's a different way to do it, but there's a different way to look at it. Again, if you're charitable and you understand where it's coming from. So in crypto land, when you sort of, you know, when there's a new coin or something like that, right? Some of the discussion around tech has been, okay, well, how do you give users a stake in the company that pays a dividend? How do you get people to, you know, be in it for the long haul? How do you monetize your most loyal, most active users? Now, don't forget these, you know, the most active users on Twitter are the top 10% of users are responsible for 90% of the traffic, but that also means that they're the most expensive, okay? For me to be live streaming and tweeting every day, that's expensive, okay? Versus someone who just sits there dormant, that's a lot more data. It's more expensive, especially with live streaming and, you know, all those other factors, okay? So the top 10% of users not only responsible for 90% of the traffic, but they're responsible for 90% of the overhead. So what do you do? Okay, well, how do you get that top 10% to pay? Well, okay, well, they're loyal. They're getting value out of it. They are, you know, again, this is just business stuff. This is, again, how you know whether someone is actually thinking things through sensibly and from different perspectives, which is that this is just a purely pragmatic business decision from my point of view, which is that, okay, well, these people have had it too good for too long. They've built, you know, $million businesses on top of our platform. They're responsible for 90% of our costs and overhead and fucking problems as well. Fuck it, charge them. See who stays and see who goes. And we know they won't leave because there's no other alternatives. So let them lose the check mark and give those who actually do buy in and do stake. Okay, you know, they buy a stake, they put their money down, and they go, okay, well, here you go, it's yours. You see, that's a different way to look at it. But no, I don't want to pay $5 a month because, it's like, well, what do you think? This is the same thing with gaming, right? With because I play Fallout 76. I love Fallout 76. Whatever, I love it. I think it's great. I pay for Fallout first. And people are like, well, why would you do that? It's such a what? It's like, no, because I also know how long things take and that people need to eat and get paid. If you want the game to be better, you give them the money to fucking, you know, yes, there's a profit problem, but that doesn't mean that money isn't a thing. This is, again, the difference between a fucking real socialist and someone who laughs as one, which is that they just don't want to pay people they don't like, or just because there's a structural problem with profit that they somehow think that they shouldn't have to pay money to anyone for anything and that they can just take. That's not how it works. Socialism is built on the foundation that you get in Yeah, obviously you look after those who are less capable and basic needs. But after basic needs are met, okay, and everyone's sort of looked after and taken care of, that true merit exists. You get out what you put in, okay, and that you get a fair wage for your work, and you are enumerated commensurate with your value to society. Like that's ironically, the capitalism that all these fucking anarcho-capitalist bros go on about. But anyway, it's funny, they're so backwards. So anyway, but like, again, it takes, he's still keeping 2,000 employees. He still needs hundreds of engineers. He still needs process people. He still needs project managers. He still needs designers. He still needs ad people. But what he's done is I think, again, trimming the fat. Yes, there's people. I have a problem with the way that this has been done, but they've also had notice. I've also noted that people are trying to sort of share stuff and, share lies about the fact that he's trying to avoid shares vesting before November 1st so he can get rid of people without paying out their shares, which he said is false. It seems like he has sacked the three heads of the business, which I agree. I've got no love for any of them. Okay. And, the founder found it untenable a few times. Okay. And Twitter's going to keep on keeping on. It's a story of chaos. It's great. That's what makes it great. It's a story of innovation and changing and moving tides. And when shit goes down, people go to Twitter, and that's not going to change. It's not going to change. And you're not going to leave. You're going to pay. We know. But if you don't want to pay, I think you should think about why. Because especially if you've made, more than what the subscription, if you've made $250 in your entire time on Twitter and you've got a blue check, then think about that. You made money off the back of the labour of other people. Okay? See, this is that big sort of rationalisation of sort of, the full anarchist fucking wreck shit, tear shit down socialism, which is stupid, which is the idea that you're fighting the man by, you're not stealing from the shareholders. The shareholders are going to be fine. You're not, like when you steal from, Uber Eats is a good example of that. Like, if let's say we had a fucking funny fuck up with KFC. I'll talk about this separately. We ordered KFC like a week or whatever. And they fucked up. And this poor, like, broken English note, and I couldn't decipher what it said. And they just got the order so wrong. And it's obvious to me that, again, I worked at KFC when I was younger, so I know that some are corporate and some are franchise. And it's obvious to me that this appears to be a franchise. And so, I will often report, if there's a mistake or a fuck up on Uber Eats, and it's like a major corporation, I will often complain and, do that. But you've got to think about the other end of that, which is the workers on the other end. And so I know this is somewhat related. So you got to think about that because, it looks to me, based on the reviews and stuff, that this appears to be a franchise. It seems to be someone who's bought this fucking new, because it's a new one local. They built it. It's obviously a new franchise, and a franchise owner who has no idea what they're doing. Things fall apart. They obviously don't know how to run these things. When KFC's run out of chicken, it's usually because of a shitty manager, okay, or a shitty owner. And so, it's either a shitty corporate manager who, that's rarer and rarer because they're quite streamlined, or a shitty owner who sort of, is worried about the overheads, especially with the cost of chicken and inflation, all that sort of stuff. So when you reverse engineer the mistake, I do think twice about whether or not who it impacts. Step 2, 3, 4. So what happens when, like, they have to refund your order? What happens to, they lose the money? Who gets in trouble? Okay. And it's the same thing with this tech company thing. Okay. Who loses out is the people who built stuff, the people who work at Twitter, who apparently exist. But again, also acknowledging that there's bloat and people who take the piss, because that's the nature. I've heard that Twitter is quite a flat business, that internally there's a lot of conflict where it doesn't need to be, because there is no real leadership or project management. It's all just sort of a free-for-all, okay, of like teams that go to war. It's extraordinarily political and toxic. I've heard this, again, I don't know anyone, but this is just what I've, it's, you get various things, especially if you look at things like Glassdoor and stuff. The tech companies, roughly, who you want to work for and who you don't. You want to work for Microsoft. You don't want to work for fucking, you don't want to work for Health Engine. You want to work for Microsoft. There's certain things. So, they're better places to work for the higher ups. Again, not the offshore labor that they all exploit. Separate. But these sort of my beef with these sort of tear it down people, again, that's independent of socialism or capitalism or your worldview. You're a destroyer and a wrecker. If you're a destroyer and a wrecker, then you will rationalize that somehow you're stealing from Elon Musk, not from the moderation team or the people who need to get paid to keep the app up. Like, that's a cope for you. Oh, Elon Musk profit. Well, no, because we also know that Elon Musk is going to want to turn a profit. He's going to want to make it a break even. He's figuring out how to make it break even as quickly as possible to recoup his losses. He's also said very much that repeatedly that he is doing this for, benefit of humanity. And, this is again, you're allowed to be conflicted. Okay? Billionaires can do good shit. People can do good shit for reasons that overlap. Okay, I can't talk about a lot of this, but I know personally that there's people who want to do good. They just think that they can do good and make money. Okay, there's some things where they still believe that you can capitalism your way out of some of capitalism's problems, and that's going to happen. Okay, and Elon Musk is part of that crew. But that doesn't mean that he's an evil person because he doesn't believe or see things your way. It means he's on record repeatedly. Okay, now he's on record repeatedly doing other dodgy things, but he's on record as saying that he's got all this wealth. Okay, you're always on at him to do some shit with his wealth. Twitter is an unviable business as it stands. Okay, he can buy it. He bought it at a loss. So why are you saying, how's he going to make money then? Ha, he bought him at lemon. Maybe he bought a lemon on purpose. Maybe he's telling the truth. And maybe people believe that. And maybe I'm an idiot for believing that. And maybe wanting to stake and go, okay, well, getting this, I understand you. I understand the gesture that you've made. Okay. We don't agree on like the solutions, but I believe in your intention. I believe that you are, you're trying to do the right thing, okay? And I think that the people who are criticizing you are fucking terrible people. And if I have to pick, I'll pick you. It's like, okay, well, all right, well, maybe he's telling the truth. Maybe he's autistic. Maybe autistic people can't lie. Maybe that's a thing. Maybe he's genuine in what he says, and you just need to take him at face value and see him as a fucking autistic internet fucking like meme lord that you don't like because you find him icky because he's weird and you're part of the popular kids who don't want to pay for anything. And you've built businesses off of this product. He's taken it from underneath you. He's trying to make it break even, and people like me go, you know what? I see the value in that. I see the value in that. Here's $20 to help you out. Let's see if we can do this. Okay. I appreciate the gesture. Maybe that's what it is. Maybe the world's not terrible. Maybe you shouldn't be stealing. You shouldn't be steal again. It's that whole, well, technically because of my ideology, well, technically there's nothing wrong with it. No, thou shalt not steal. I don't need stealing from people is wrong. Whether you're a capitalist landlord, whether you're a blue check rent seeker, okay? Because no one's talking about the fact that blue checks have been rent seeking all these years, not producing anything, okay? Really, other than, obviously they bring their crew, but a large part of there's a lot of people who built their audience there. They wrote their stories based off of other people's stories on there. They use other people's IP and jokes. They steal our jokes. They steal everything. How's that not a landlord? Okay, you're not a socialist if you're opposed. You can okay, I'm saying you can be opposed to paying for the verification process because I have mixed feelings about that too. But be honest with yourself again about why you're opposed to it. Because there's socialist arguments for paying for it, which is that work costs money. This is not free. You get value out of it. You're exploiting it. Put your money down. Pay it forward. Maybe we can create a thing where put a stake in, right? Stake. You might get a data dividend. Maybe he's looking at things like data dividends down the track. Okay, maybe this is just a loyalty test, which is like, all right, then let's test the waters. Let's see whether these fucking idiots actually give a fuck about this platform. Because I do, and I'll put my money down. It's a gesture. You see what I'm saying? But no one, okay, yeah, of course. Everyone, again, people with bigger audiences than me think they've got all the answers, all their hot takes that are completely unoriginal, superficial, uninformed, especially about the history of Twitter. And I'll talk about, a bit more about that, tomorrow. But it's all just one big projection. Oh, yeah, well, you don't like Elon Musk owning Twitter because he's going to, he actually expects you to work for you. Again, it's that whole thing. If you have to do the work, you just call on your bullshit. Look at yourself. Look at your own contribution. My conscience is clear when it comes to this stuff. I've done everything in good faith. I have no problem. There is nothing I have done. Okay? The only things that I've probably, might get me in trouble down the track was A/B testing some sort of bots and stuff down, seeing how easy it is. Remember when I did that test of seeing how easy it is to buy followers and shit. But generally, I keep my nose clean. And even then, that's for educational stuff. I don't habitually do that, right? It's not just something I do, but these people do. They all buy fucking followers. They all of these major media outlets, they boost with bots as well. You think that all those likes are fucking not artificial? It's like, yeah, a lot of them are. They're just cheering each other on, and they're basically just botnets that elevate and amplify each other's shit. That's just, I'll talk about that. But I've been invited into those things before, where it's like, there's 100 of us, and we'll just retweet everything you retweet, and it's like, no, it's unethical. I'm sorry. My account is my account. It's my voice. It's my brand. I don't give a fuck. I won't do it. I won't lie for money. It is just not, but there's a lot of people who will, and there's other YouTubers who built their audiences in this inauthentic way, who turn around and, again, I can name names, but I won't, because people got to do what they got to do. I just also know, I know how people build their shit. And I know that, I can tell when there's money thrown at things and there's not. And I can tell when someone's organic and not organic. But, I love this idea that, somehow everything, nothing that in this deal is okay. So he had this money. He offered to buy it. He didn't mean it when he offered, even though he said that, his reasons at the time were fairly okay and legit. And I agreed with most of his stuff. He said he wanted to, make the algorithm better, the black box, get rid of the black box, make changes. Okay. Then it was like, no, he doesn't mean it. He doesn't mean it. He didn't want to buy it. He did probably want to buy it. He just wanted to flex. Because I can only imagine the kind of fucking trash heap business that he's inheriting. Okay. I think that it's actually an act of charity to buy it. And I think that it's very, I honestly, the more that I think about it, the more I think it's a good idea. And especially if those who love Twitter are happy to put a stake. If you think about this paid subscription as staking, okay, then it becomes an easier, or a business expense, then sure. If you're an average user, consumer, well, so what? Who cares? You're consuming. You're not creating. You get no value. What do you get out of it? Who cares? All right? But I'm talking about specifically blue checks, people who make money off of Twitter. using and build email lists, use it for fucking, all sorts of shit to promote their shit. Pay for it like everyone else. And again, they won't pay for it. Their fucking publications will have to. So he's basically just fucking extorting the fucking corporate media, which is hilarious. Okay, he's making them pay for all the journos that they already pay for. They already have the contact at Twitter to get their fucking new onboarded journo that make coffee verified before me. Okay, they're already buying those accounts. Because they, again, they're responsible for most of the traffic and most of the audience, but they're also the most expensive. And they know, again, we've just got to wait and see. Also, I think it's not a foregone conclusion that that's what's happening anyway. I think that I honestly, the more I think about it, the more I think it's actually just him fucking with people and getting them to put their money where their mouth is, doing a loyalty test, getting a benchmark of who's willing to put money down to use Twitter. I think the rest is just sort of conjecture, right? And some of the stuff like when you have to make layoffs, especially with something like Twitter, where I imagine there's a lot of bloat and a lot of dysfunction and needs some streamlined process. And, this is a massive, this is not just walk into a shop and move shit around on the shelf. It's a massive tech transformation project with a company that is 15 years old and has legacy tech and spaghetti code and just, like siloed. From what I hear, it's quite siloed. From what I hear, like there's a lot of internal division. People are constantly fighting. Like there's internal fighting. Like one of the things that he's implemented within a couple of days was, okay, don't force people to sign up or log in when they visit the homepage. Just let them have the Explore tab. And that would have been months of fighting. And I imagine it was months of fighting internally. I've been on these, again, this is just tech companies, especially dysfunctional tech companies where there's personalities who block everything and disrupt. And I imagine Twitter is rife with that, with toxic people and takers and destroyers rather than builders. That they would probably disrupt a lot of these things. And he just said, get it done. And he's got it done. And maybe with the verified thing, also there's another way to look at the engineer crunch, which for me is, well, you said, remember, again, fucking read a thing. For 3 years, you've been saying that you're overhauling the verified program. Where is it? It's been 3 years. Where is it? What's the project status? But no, get it done. I want to see who's committed code. And again, the least charitable take on that would be he's fucking made demands and, poor engineers. Of course they're going to do that because they're in the business of narrative with victims. And they hate Elon Musk. And this is an ideological fucking shit show for them. Because they want to be able to control the narrative and control, what people think and say and what people see. And be able to just lie about things like kiwi farms and lie about those sorts of things in order to just smite whoever the fuck they find inconvenient. Whether they're socialist, capitalist, whatever the fuck they are. They want to get rid of you. If they want the power to do that, they get off on the power of it. So they will say whatever it takes in the least charitable light. But that said, when you're in business, I can see how I imagine he's having to make some tough choices, okay? There's a lot of fucking bullshit at Twitter. And I imagine that it's also happens to be funny that it's like, well, you love this so much, you leeches, put your money down. Let's see who fucking really gives a shit about this platform. I like it. I don't think it's going to be as, again, transactional thinkers think about the transaction. They don't think about the broader strategy. I have a feeling that Twitter Blue may be a pathway, because he's talked about Web3, he's talked about all these things before. I think that this Twitter Blue, again, stranglehold by the fucking Washington Post and stuff, right? But it's not going to be that. He's trying to get rid of them. He's trying to add the value, which is that fuck the newspapers. Fuck those people. What we're going to do is give you like a share and a stake in this company. Right? Maybe he's building more of a co-op than you'd ever fucking build in your life. Maybe you're just it's interesting. We don't know. Again, I take all of what he says, and that's why he's confusing, okay? But people just choose what they want to see, and they, again, don't have any real basis in theory to, do it in a meaningful way. But, but people have just no idea what is involved, and they're expensive. These users are expensive. They're not just, I give you all of this data. Again, transactional thinkers don't think about these things. They think about what they get for what they put in. They don't think about the burden on others, such as the cost. The fact that I get to live stream to 5 different platforms for free is amazing. It's a gift. It's a privilege. If I could reach more people, that would be fantastic. But that's pay to play. For me, I have to pay money. I have to run a sponsored post. Can't on Twitter because these people fucked me up. But I can elsewhere. I can boost it. I can put money behind it. Why don't you put your money behind it to amplify your shit? Especially when you're not even doing basic fucking... I do more analysis and more research and more hard work than any of these people. I put more love into it. I put more care into it. And that's fine. I love it. So it's not work. Okay? But at the same time, why shouldn't they pay? Why do I have to pay? They're the ones that wrecked it. Said that yesterday. Anyway, hour and a half. Daily hour and a half streams. That's too much for anyone to watch. But you'll come back to it. I'm going to try and clip these at some point. Because some of the rants are good. Anyway. It would be good to, I don't know. Whatever. I just say what I'm saying. I've given up at this point. It can't be any worse, like in terms of reach. Like all these people with hundreds of thousands of people saying they've been suppressed by the algorithm. Get fucked, you have. You don't know what it's like to be fucking really, really suppressed in this fucking space. You have no idea. To the point where you're not only suppressed, but you can't even pay for ads to promote yourself. You can't even give them money. So if I can give them money, I'll give them money. And if you want to leave, then fuck off. No one will care. Okay? Who gives a shit? You don't build anything. You just complain. Anyway. This is a massive project with a lot of unknowns. And God, I hope it's just a rumour. I think that this might actually just be a rumour. I think it's going to be funny. Because they're the people that have been claiming about disinformation and misinformation on the platform. If that is just a rumour, I'm going to laugh my fucking head off. Great. Enjoy it. Enjoy the ride. Tomorrow I'm going to talk about the history of, we'll see what happens, because it's developing too. Because tomorrow they had an all-hands meeting that doesn't, it's, again, Twitter's a black box. You don't get a lot of information. So anything that does appear to come out of Twitter is either, traditionally it would have been authorised by the higher-ups or, run a tight ship in that. And I just very much doubt that I feel like they've been trolled. I'm hoping they've been trolled. It's going to be great. Anyway, enjoy the ride. But so they had an all-hands meeting. Nothing's leaked out of that just yet. There'll be news, I think, with the launch of Verified coming, I imagine this week. They're probably going to push code this week. Next week, actually, probably. But, we're going to see what happens because it's the 1st of November here, which means that overnight and tomorrow we're going to see that sort of movement of staff. We're going to get more stories. Obviously, a lot of people, also, you got to remember, a lot of these people have NDAs, so you're not going to find out much. A lot of their shares being, are conditional on them not breaching their NDA, which is why no one's really talking, because they want their shares to vest. But once they do, or once they get their severance packages, that will still have an NDA over it. So it's going to be interesting to see what leaks happen once people get paid. But I want to talk a little bit more about how Trump really, what happened. Twitter's value proposition and how the chaos is actually its value. The value is in the chaos, and that's the thing that people, I think, don't understand. And this is that sort of conflict with corporate and everyday life. You either learn to love humanity or you try to control them. I love humanity and I love you all. I love all your crazy shit. But the thing is, I love it like a dysfunctional family. Okay, I love it like I can make fun of it because it's my people and I understand it and it comes from a place of love. I'm not someone who's sitting there trying to like ban everyone and police everyone. And, you know, I'm just like, fuck off then. Who gives a shit? But I will defend people, you know, I will defend Twitter users, you know, like a mum. It's like, but not these leeches who are fucking with my family. So anyway, I'm going to go. I love you. Become a patron if you want to. I hate saying that, but, you know, it would be good because, you know, again, things cost money. You know, takes me, you know, a lot of time to make this stuff and to do the kind of analysis and work. It's not even very polished, but, you know, just to do the prep work. You know, I've spent all of my weekend and every day. I've got client work to do that's behind because I've been trying to follow this stuff. And, you know, I don't get paid if I don't do client work. So, you know, things cost money. My time and experience is worth something. Twitter is worth something. And if you value it, then it would be good if you can pay for it. Okay? It's how you solve the problem. Always. Now, I don't expect you to. Because I also understand that, you know, you didn't fuck this up. It'd be good if, like, you know, I don't think Anna Kasparian and Taylor Enns are going to become knocking anytime soon. But it would be nice. But you can share my stuff too. Say, this girl, what you need to do is phrase it with, she takes a while to warm up, and then give them a timestamp of where to start watching. But, you know, I will start to try and do clips. If you want to clip stuff, I will provide you with a download. Like, and if you want to edit a clip for me, that'd be great. But otherwise, you know, it's just, oh yeah, there's got to be some way of me surviving and doing this. I can't, you know, it's just, everyone seems to want to pay for people to just react all the time, not think, and not actually know anything, and say, oh, I don't want to give Elon Musk money because that justifies them. You know, they don't have to look at themselves and their own contribution. No one has to reflect, but they just harvest. They're rent seekers. See how it works, landlords? All right. I love you. Thank you for your precious life seconds. I gotta go. Take care. Bye.